What's that like? What's going on, everybody? It's another edition of the What's That Like podcast here with your host, John Knowles. First up, we're going to have Emily Schneider. Emily is a Southern Macoupin County girl, grew up in a small town, went to a small town high school, but she certainly has big time dreams. Currently, Emily is a senior at SIU Edwardsville, but she also studies at the Second City in Chicago. And I want to bring you her story and let her tell you really how all that works and her hopes and dreams. And maybe someday we'll be watching her on Saturday Night Live. Second thing I want to bring you today is kind of a segment I want to do once a month, and I think you're going to get a lot of enjoyment out of it. He's my neighbor. His name is Terry Rackley. I just call him Rack for short. And Terry is this kind of guy. He's got everything going in his yard that he can to almost self-sustain. He's got a chicken coop going on over there, and he's got a garden that he's had for so many years, and now he's working on a greenhouse. He's the greenest thumb I know, and I want to bring you a new segment here on the What's That Like podcast. We'll probably check back with him maybe once a month, and we're going to call it the Rack Almanac. So we're going to get that a little bit later. But first, before I get to Emily, let me just thank each and every one of you. We've got something like 140 likes on the Facebook page. That's something pretty cool. So you guys are signing up for new updates and things like that. It looks like we just crossed over the 500 listener mark, something like all the streams, all the downloads, all the different platforms that you might be using it on. The reports I get back, I think totaling it all up, just in 3 episodes, we're well over 500. That's pretty cool. I mean, even if some of you are listening to them multiple times, that means you're getting enjoyment out of it. It means I get enjoyment for bringing it to you. Really thank you a lot for all the feedback that a lot of you have given me. I've gotten a lot of great ideas for some future episodes that I certainly want to take advantage of. It's something that I do enjoy doing. Like I said before, I'm not doing this for money. This is always going to be 100% free to you. I don't take sponsorship. I don't really want the hassle of sponsorship, and really I don't want the hassle of you listening to me read ads. So I'm going to try to keep it as free for as long as I can, as long as I can keep the costs in play, and that will always continue for you. Finally, I want to give you a bit of an update on our first couple of guests that we had on the podcast. Jason Kramer, the Boston Marathoner, did complete his 13th Boston Marathon on Monday, April 17th. He finished in a time of 3 hours, 47 minutes, and 53 seconds. I talked to Jay. That wasn't his personal best or his goal, what that he was really going for, but I got to tell you, the guy plowed through. If you remember, he talked about wanting the weather in maybe the 45, 50 degree range with cloud cover. Well, it turned out to be in the high 70s with no cloud cover. And as they approached about the 30K mark, it really started to warm up, and a lot of the runners really started to have a little bit of issues. Jason did finish. He also told me that he spent a couple of hours in the med tent after the race and had to have an IV. And that race just is grueling, and I really applaud the guy. I mean, that's certainly such an effort for him to plow through there to the end. It's not like he had to. It's sure will and determination. So congratulations, Jason. Lucky number 13 really came at a little bit of a challenge for you, but we're all proud of you back here in Central Illinois. And lastly, Bob Krug, our first guest on the podcast, the kart racer. He's down there racing now in the iDrive Series at Gateway International Raceway. And Bob, in the first 2 weeks, he's got 2 wins, a second place, and a third place finish. And he's currently the point leader in the iDrive Series. He credits some of that from the sponsorship he got from Labonte Photography for supporting him along the way. If anyone else would like to sponsor him, don't forget to reach out to Bobby at atabobby@gmail.com. And last thing about Bob, I'll say, Bob's going to be helping me out a little bit more on the podcast as well. You're going to hear his voice kind of in the background. He's helping me produce this latest episode that we've done with Emily. And he's also taken the audio that we have from the podcast and imported it over to YouTube. So just one more way that you can listen to the What's That Like podcast. A lot of folks are having issues. They're not used to podcasts. Maybe they've never listened to them before, not sure how to do it. But everybody knows how to use YouTube. So having that audio available over there is going to be great for all the fans of the What's That Like podcast as well. If you want to find it on YouTube, youtube.com/ATA Network. That's Bob's Network, and he's putting it up on his channel, and I certainly thank him for doing that as well. All right, let's turn it over to Emily Schneider as we hear about Second City and her SNL dreams, her quick appearance she once had on the Jimmy Fallon Show, and I'm going to ask her about all those things and what's that like. Emily, were you a funny kid?
I don't know. See, I'm from a really funny family. I don't think I was funnier than the rest of them. I was the one who was like, okay, maybe I can do something with this. I think my siblings are hilarious. I think my mom and dad are so funny. Mm-hmm. I was just the one with like the crazy dream, like let's try to do something with this. I make myself laugh, so why can't I make others?
You got to entertain yourself before you can entertain anyone else.
Oh no, my bottom line is, if I can make myself laugh, then if you guys are laughing with me, that's great. But if you're not, I'm laughing. So I
exactly. So you're in college still, right? Uh-huh. Did you start out as a theater major?
No. So in high school, I was actually going to go for nursing. Mm-hmm. And then I did like I don't think it's called candy striping anymore, but it's like that nursing, or not nursing, the hospital thing.
Yeah. You go up and you're like a summer aide or something like that.
So I folded towels in a hospital for like 3 consecutive weeks. And I realized I didn't really like that. And I know that's not what nurses do, but at the same time, they're just hospitals kind of freak me out. Mm-hmm.
There's sick people there.
Yes. You know what? And I don't need that kind of energy. So, so then I was like, okay, we're going to forget the nursing thing. I was going to be a teacher, and I was going to do high school history. Mm-hmm. And so my first class, I go in, and it's supposed to be a world history class, and there's 3 professors for it for one class. So that was kind of weird. And I was a freshman, and I'm like, oh, well, maybe this is normal college stuff, you know?
Yeah.
So then I went to elementary ed, and I had to take a math class, and I felt like a genius. Like, I'm like, oh, I know different ways to subtract now. But I was like, I'm not happy. Like, this isn't making me happy. So then I talked about mass comm for a while. Every day I was coming home, and I was telling my mom, I finally have it figured out. Okay. Like, at this point, they're like, Emily, you've got to like graduate eventually. I was like, okay, I guess you're right. But at the same time, I was still very interested in theater. I just remember asking my mom, I'm like, can I switch? Can I become a theater major? And she goes, yes. And I just like started crying. I was like, I'm so happy. You don't know what you've done right here. It's a magical moment. So I went through about 5 or 6 different majors before I settled on theater. So
okay. What year were you in college when you finally decided to switch it to your theater major?
I think it was my first senior year when I finally made the big switch.
Yeah.
This is my second and my final senior year. I've been in there for 2 years. I've been there for 6 years. Oh my God.
That's okay. That's okay. I took 6 years. It doesn't really matter.
You know what? It's normal. I think it's normal.
It is. It really is. I mean, I think sometimes kids today, they get out of high school and they think, this is what I want to be.
Yeah.
And just like you got there and you went, this is not what I want to be. And you're trying to, do I live up to my parents' expectations?
Yes.
And follow this through and do something I hate? Or do what you did and figure out what that dream really should be?
Yeah.
You're in the SIUE theater department. Have you done some productions there?
Yes. So most recently in this last year, I have done Blithe Spirit. That's by Noel Coward. That's a comedy. And I've also been in 5 Women Wearing the Same Dress. And that is also kind of a serio comedy. Blithe Spirit involves a lot of ghosts. Mm-hmm. So that was really cool. I played Madame Arcadi, who's this like strange, deranged psychic medium person.
Mm-hmm. I heard good reviews on that.
That's good. Yeah. That's good. I've never been in like a really cute costume. For that one, I was in a turban and like this big like smock looking thing. And like she would like wear all these bracelets and necklaces, and she looked like what you're picturing in your head, like exactly. And then in 5 Women, I was wearing this like hideous bridesmaid dress. It was like this sickening blue color with like a white ribbon. And I just have never drawn I've always drawn the short straw when it comes to costumes. I always get to play eccentric characters, it seems like.
Don't those have the most meat to them, though?
I think so. Madame Arcady was crazy. In Blithe Spirit, Madame Arcady was deranged. In Five Women, it was more based in reality. This woman had problems in her life. So it was a little more realistic, but she was still crazy too. Yeah. So it's great. I love playing the crazy people. Those are the best.
Yeah, they are the best.
They are.
I know you enough to know that you've been going up to Second City in Chicago for a while.
Yeah.
Tell me about Second City. What is Second City?
So Second City is this huge comedy school. It's very renowned for having started some of the people that you see on Saturday Night Live. Like, just to name a few, Tina Fey started out there, Stephen Colbert, Steve Carell, all of these people that you can just turn on a channel right now and see their movie or their TV show. Basically, it's really known for improv, which is going up on stage and not having a script.
Okay.
Kind of going up there and trusting the people that you're with to help you create the script. They have a lot of shows there. They do offer these classes, but it's not just improv. Like they just opened the Harold Ramis Film School there. They also, I know they offered like a ukulele class one time that I was going to take. I mean, they'll cover everything. Yeah. But yes, it's a very famous comedy school.
How do you decide that's what I want to do?
I decided to read Bossy Pants by Tina Fey.
Okay, I've read this book.
Yes, have you? Okay, she mentions the Second City. And I was like, I don't know what this place is, but it sounds like a magical place. Like, I just thought, this is what sounds good. And I'd never done improv before. I could figure that out. Like, no script, you're with people. That just excited me. So I was like, okay, I'm going to try this. I looked up the website, and it's a bunch of like happy people doing improv, and I'm like, yeah, I'm happy. This is a great place for me. I went up there just because of Tina Fey's book.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So Tina Fey, 30 Rock, Saturday Night Live, head writer.
Yes.
I will say, she is one of the people that I truly adore in media today. Tons of talent. Never stops. She always is funny. Yeah. Just great. And do you have to audition to get in?
No, so the classes are they're open to anybody.
You have to pay tuition.
Yes.
You get into the school. Are there different levels? And explain what those levels of the classes might be.
Yes. So you start with A, and that's kind of like trusting people to have your back on stage, being open to ideas. The biggest thing in improv is yes and that's just the ability to, if somebody throws something out, you don't say, no, that idea sucks. You
gotta roll with it.
You've got to roll with it.
Yeah.
If they say, oh, Mr. Fireman, like, you are the fireman then. You're like, no, I'm not. No, I'm a police officer. Can't you see the badge? Like, you have to go with it.
Okay.
So that's kind of level A. Level B, you start kind of doing scene work, sort of. You start doing little bitty scenes where it's like the three things that you really have to like establish in an improv scene are relationship, location, and the problem that you need to solve in the scene. Level C was a little more of that, little longer scenes, and that's when you first perform on the stage. Like you do a show without your teacher stopping you every 5 seconds. And then I finished level D last summer, and that was pretty much level C, except a little more, they called you more on, well, you said at first that her name was Susie, and then you forgot it, and now you're calling her Lorraine. And, like, you can't do that.
Yeah.
And I still have to take level E. So I still need to graduate the program, but it's been slow because I've been going to college. It's a slow process, but it's really fun.
Yeah. You've yet to do E. Is that coming this summer?
I am busy this summer, and since I'm graduating in May, I'll have more time to be able to do it in the fall. Yeah, so it's coming, just not so certain when.
What would a typical improv be like? Say you want to do a improv with me here. How would that go? And I'll just try to play along. We'll see if we can do this. So
we'd get suggestions from the audience, and
all right, we got our producer here, Bob.
Yes.
So Bob, you got a suggestion for us?
Okay.
Just say something out loud.
An elevator.
An elevator.
Okay, we're in an elevator.
Yes.
All right.
God, I'm running so late for work. I can't believe you didn't stop and let me know what time it was. You know my clock's broken, George.
I'm sorry. I didn't know what time it was either.
We're gonna be late, and the boss, he needs the paper, and I'm gonna get fired, and it's gonna be your fault. And how are we gonna pay for the dog?
The dog's going to be just fine. We found him on the street.
Did the elevator just stop? The elevator just stopped, George. The elevator has stopped.
Is there a hole in that roof? Can we lift you through that so you can help us?
Yeah, let me take off my shoes.
That doesn't smell very good.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I got you. I think I got...
Okay, I'm up.
All right.
Oh, somebody's up there. Hey, we just need a little bit of help. If you
Throw
could just
the
send somebody-
rope. Throw that rope down.
Thank you so much. All right, George. Hey, I can't. Here's the issue. I'm gonna climb up. I'm gonna go give the paper. You stay here. I'm sure somebody will come and get you eventually.
Can you throw me down a sandwich?
If I find one, sure.
Was that a good one? Should we use that or cut that?
I mean, that's up to you.
You like that one, Bob?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just trying to keep the laughter in.
Yeah. All right. How many people are in one of your classes? So you pay $300.
Yeah.
How much one-on-one are you getting? What kind of instruction?
There's about 12 people, I think, at most, and that was my level A class, and then it kind of trickles out from there. I would say 12 people. It's about a 2-hour class. So you do your exercises and you kind of go up in front of everybody, and the teacher comes back and talks to you.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of one-on-one. The classes are very small and they're designed that way so you can talk about what you just did.
Mm-hmm.
Teacher-student relationship building.
Okay. How long is each session that you take?
It's 8-week classes. You meet one time a week for 2 hours, 2.5 hours, I think, is level A, and then they kind of shorten to 2 hours.
Have you done any of the performances there at the school?
Like I said, level C and D, you actually perform. You invite people, and they can come watch you perform.
Okay.
So my family has seen me perform twice at the Second City. So you're on this like tiny little stage. It's like really tiny, and you're like forced up there with 12 other people. And the room itself is very tiny. Mm-hmm. So everything is just very small about it, which makes it really cool, honestly. Like, just to be that close to the audience, and you can hear like them laughing, so you feel better.
And you know that's your mom,
yes,
or your sister, or somebody laughing.
Yes.
Or you're doing something and they have it, and you hear that too.
You can redirect. Then you can tell yourself, okay, well, this isn't going how I thought it would in my head. So let's change this. So yes, you're on a tiny little stage at the Second City, which is just an amazing feeling. Like there's greats have been up on the stages, so you get to stand on. Like,
how do people get plucked from being in the class to some of these other avenues, whether it's Hollywood, New York, stand-up comedy, whatever? How does that happen? From
what I understand, they're performing in the main stage shows, and actually Saturday Night Live sends out people to scout at the Second City and IO. Mm-hmm. And that's a lot of the play. Then they invite you to audition, and you go audition. So yeah, it's you performing on a night where you don't even probably know that somebody's there.
Exactly. Yeah. They want to catch you in the element in the
exactly.
Wrong. Yeah.
And then you go on and you get on Saturday Night Live, I guess.
Is that your dream?
That is.
Yeah.
Yes, that would be amazing.
Yeah. Who would be your Saturday Night Live heroes?
Tina Fey.
Tina Fey. Not a bad one.
No, not a bad one. No. She's all right.
That's a high bar. Yeah.
Kristen Wiig, I really like her. Mm-hmm. Amy Poehler, her time on there. Maya Rudolph. And then I'm not trying to exclude guys like Jason Sudeikis.
Funny guy.
Oh, he's hilarious. Yeah. Bill Hader.
Great guy. Oh, yeah, unbelievable.
So funny. And then some of the older guys like Dan Aykroyd. Wow, like Adam Sandler and Chris Farley and David Spade.
And you're not hitting a bad swath of folks there. What's your skill set? Now, what's Emily Schneider known for?
I can usually do the straight man pretty well. Mm-hmm. So the person who doesn't like really, the person that's not instigating the funny, I guess, the person that reacts to it. You know, it's kind of easy to like gloss over the straight man, but but I think they're just as important because you have nothing to. These people can be doing something like completely crazy, but if everybody's on board, there's nobody to set it in reality.
Exactly.
So
you mentioned Saturday Night Live. Greatest straight man on there, in my opinion, Phil Hartman.
Yes.
Just always dead on.
Yes.
Worst straight man on Saturday Night Live ever. Jimmy Fallon.
Fallon.
Yeah. Because he breaks all the time. So you don't break.
Yeah. I pride myself on not breaking. I did it really, really well before I got into the theater program. And then after, I felt like I broke more. Like I was like...
Yeah.
I can do better in improv than scripted things when it comes to breaking.
I got you.
Yeah.
You've done 2 performances on the stage there. You said family came and watched.
Yeah.
What were the genesis of those 2 performances?
The first one, Second City is very known for short form. So it's a lot of games. I remember I was mortified. My family was there, my parents were there, and we played this game called Sex With Me Is Like, and I had to do it in front of my parents, and it was the worst. I was so embarrassed. I'm like, I don't want to do this. I don't really remember that first one. I don't remember going up there. I don't remember coming off. I just remember going with my family to McDonald's afterwards, and they were like, hey, you did good. I'm like, okay. Thank you. I don't even know what to say. The second one was a little more, I can remember it a little better. I think like that little shock of the first one kind of wore off. And I remember going up there and we had our certain set of games already like picked out. We knew who was going to play what. We go up there and we're playing this game called Scene Tag. And I'm with my partner. And I just remember hearing people laugh. And, like, it actually sunk in. Like, I don't think I had heard people laugh, really. I knew they were laughing.
Yeah.
But I don't think I really heard them until that moment.
Powerful drug.
Yeah. It was me, like, it was me and some other guy. And, like, the scene started and we were, like, on a beach. And I was like, how could you take me to the beach? You know I hate the beach. And then he proposes. And I heard somebody react, and it was really cool. When we stepped off, I don't know if he was lying. He could have just been like inflating our egos, but he's like, I have taught here for a long time, and that was the best level D show I have ever seen.
Well, how about that? Have you ever been there when some of the alums have come back and kind of imparted some wisdom?
I have not been there, but I remember one time I was just like walking down the hall, minding my own business, and like this film crew goes by, and I was like, okay, that's odd. And then it was followed by this man, and the man looked very familiar, but I didn't know. So I walk into class, and somebody comes in, he's like, hey, I just got a picture with the guy who plays Hero on Heroes. And I was like, is that who that was? He's like, yeah, he's on Hawaii 5-0 now. And I'm like, all right.
That's cool.
Yeah. I mean, I just walked past him. I kind of feel like a jerk now for not acknowledging it.
Well, that's the thing with famous people. You got to be ready to see them. Good story, though, that you passed Hero from Heroes.
Yeah. They're like, yeah, I just took a picture with him. I'm like, oh, I walked past him when I was walking out of the bathroom. So we're pretty close now.
That's awesome. Second City had a big incident there not too long ago, right?
Yeah. So there was a fire. It was right before I started level C. And I read about it and I didn't think too much about it. Like this little Mexican restaurant is kind of like underneath it. What the building used to be, I believe, a mall of some sort.
Okay.
So like it's very kind of close. Everything's really close together. So there was a little Mexican restaurant that I had eaten at before. And I guess that they had a fire and it all went like up. There was a lot of damage, smoke damage. So they took the opportunity to redo some things. Well, while that was going on, you still have students who are signed up for classes. And some students could go to, there was enough classrooms for some students to go. For me, there was not. So I had to go to, I believe it's the Gorilla Tango Theater. And I had never heard. Honestly, when I go to Chicago, I go from Union Station to hotel, if there is one, and then to Second City. Like, I really haven't experienced Chicago at all.
Yeah.
I'm very one-minded.
In and out.
Yes, exactly. I'm in a taxi now, going to places that I don't even know. We did finally get to go back to the Second City for our performance.
Okay.
Which was in a very big space compared to what we were supposed to be in. Like, I believe we were in the DeMott Theater, and that's one of the bigger areas. We were terrified that there wasn't going to be like anybody in there because it's a big space and like those voices echo. So you're like, oh gosh, okay, we need enough people to we feel better. And it was a really good show. Like we had all of our parents and peeps show up. You
mentioned Jimmy Fallon. You love Jimmy Fallon.
Yes.
And you once appeared on the Jimmy Fallon show, did you not?
Oh, yeah. I don't know, 2015. Mm-hmm. He does this thing called hashtags.
I love hashtags.
Yeah. I do too. So one night it was me and my sister, and I was like, I'm going to get on the Jimmy Fallon show. And she's like, you're a liar. I'll bet you $1.
$1 like, challenge accepted.
I'm like, all right, here we go. So It was like hashtag Powerball winner. So what would you do if you won the Powerball? Mm-hmm. And I sent in a tweet, and it was something about how I would hire somebody to take a bite out of cookies to determine whether they were raisin or what I want, which is chocolate chip, because nobody likes raisin cookies. And he read it out loud. My whole body like froze. I was like, oh my God, I got $1. Oh yeah, I'm on Jimmy Fallon. So yeah.
I know. I was watching.
Yeah.
I was watching. I watch hashtags all the time.
Yeah.
I love hashtags.
Yeah, it's on YouTube now. You can look it up. Hashtag if I won the Powerball.
Mm-hmm. And we'll link to it.
Yeah.
We'll make sure it's in our in our Facebook show notes, so we can
Everybody should see it.
We could relive that.
Yes.
Emily, I do this thing on the podcast now where I ask a bunch of questions, and they have nothing to do with anything we've talked about up to this point. What was your first job?
My first job, I was a babysitter.
A babysitter?
Yes.
Who'd you babysit? I mean, was it friends or your family?
It was, well, I've always been kind of like the home babysitter. So like at home with my family, like they're like, we're leaving, bye, you watch them.
You're the oldest.
Yes, I'm the oldest. So I was kind of like the built-in babysitter. Exactly. But then it was like friends of the family.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
What CD is in your car right now?
Hamilton. Yeah.
Nice. Have you seen Hamilton?
Yes, I have seen it at the in Chicago.
So you have gone somewhere besides Second City.
I have. Yeah. This is a few places that and the restaurant next door. I'm a frequent visitor to that too.
Yeah. What's the most embarrassing app you have on your cell phone?
Oh, right now I gotta look. I think I know what it is. I think it's Word Cookie.
Word Cookie?
Yes, okay. Word Cookie.
And what is Word Cookie?
You spell out words with cookies. And it's a lot cooler than it sounds.
Evidently. It's so much that you're embarrassed by it.
Yeah, I'm kind of embarrassed.
What was the favorite Christmas gift you ever received?
I would say that my most memorable, which would be my favorite, would be a pogo stick from my grandpa.
Awesome.
I really wanted it. I saw it on TV. Somebody was pogo sticking. I'm like, I can do that. I get a pogo stick, and I think I tried it once. I fell, and that was the end of the pogo stick. But it's the most memorable gift I have.
That's hilarious. And the final question, which is the one I like the best, and I think you're going to have a great answer.
Okay.
What TV show would Emily Schneider be a character on?
Almost kind of think 30 Rock.
30 Rock?
Yeah.
Good one.
I think my personality, kind of strange and odd, would fit in great with Kenneth.
So what would you do at 30 Rock?
I would probably also be a page, because that sounds like I would do that in real life. Like, yeah, let me be a page at NBC. That sounds great.
30 Rock was a great show.
It was.
All the characters were perfect.
They were.
You had Frank and Toofer and
I mean, Alec Baldwin.
He's just great. Which, being an Alec Baldwin fan, when he was just such this dramatic actor, and then he takes that turn on 30 Rock, and he's the best Alec Baldwin there could be.
Yep.
He really is.
Yep.
Emily, what's your goal? You're doing all this training. You're a theater major. Hopefully you're going to graduate soon for your parents' sake.
Yeah.
Right? What's your goal?
It's to be on Saturday Night Live in some sort of capacity, whether it be a writer or an actor. I would love to actually be a player on Saturday Night Live. Yeah. That's the goal.
Well,
That's
we
all time.
absolutely here in small town Illinois
Yeah.
would love to see you on
Thanks.
Saturday Night Live.
I'll give a shout out every time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Would you have like a little thing you do at the end?
Just to, Wildcat Pride never dies is what
You
I'd
could
say
wear-
every time.
You could if Saturday Night Live doesn't work out, what then? What next?
I wouldn't mind doing like film and TV.
Yeah.
But I think what I really want to do is go up to Chicago and be a teacher up at the Second City. I'm still a teacher, Mom and Dad. Look at that.
How about that?
I think I would like to teach, if anything, go up and teach. Like I said, I would love to be on film and TV. Like something like a 30 Rock would be really exciting to me.
What if I were to say that we could improv something again right
Okay.
now? And the situation is that we're in a podcast studio
Okay.
in my garage,
Okay.
and you're asking the questions. What would you ask me?
All right. So I understand that you're a firefighter.
Yeah,
Yes. Cool.
exactly.
Yeah.
I fight fires.
How many fires have you fought?
I've fought 73 fires in the last 18 years.
73.
Yeah, but I will say this, they didn't really fight back that hard. So they were pretty easy. I'm 73-0. I've never lost a foundation on a building.
You need to have a scrappy fire just to say that you had one.
Something I couldn't tackle?
Well, something that just took a little more work. Like, just like you go in there and like you think you're done, but then it comes back for a vengeance kind of thing.
Would this house have been haunted?
That would be, I mean, the optimal choice, I think.
Yeah.
A haunted fire would be really cool.
So I'd put it out, and it just keeps coming back.
It comes back.
It's maybe the house is made out of that stuff, those trick birthday candles.
Yes, it's a house made of trick birthday candles.
Exactly.
And you thought you were done with it, and you start walking away, and like all we see is your shadow against like a fiery building.
Cool.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's cinematic.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's always how I'm thinking.
Uh-huh.
What's your favorite sketches on Saturday Night
My
Live?
favorite sketches on Saturday Night Live. That's a great one. I don't think I could narrow it down to one. The ones that kill me over and over are the ones that are just recurring, and it's the small little jokes. What's up with that?
I
with
love
Keenan.
What's Up with That.
And when they go to Lindsey Buckingham,
Yeah.
and they always run out of time. and then you got Tracksuit Guy.
Yes, Jason Sudeikis.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then Fred Armisen would come out as Kenny G. and
Yes.
play. That slays me. It doesn't matter what really happens
No, I don't care.
in there. If those things happen, I'm on the floor.
Yep.
Debbie Downer is always a classic. The Disney Debbie Downer
Oh
is,
my God.
is the one.
With Lindsay Lohan.
With Lindsay Lohan.
Yes.
That train wreck.
Yes.
What about your favorite SNL sketches?
The Californians.
The Californians.
I don't know why, but it gets me every single time. And recent, David S. Pumpkins.
Yes, David S.
Any questions? That's my favorite. Honestly, when Justin Timberlake comes on, there are so many good ones. There's the one where they're going through the tunnel of love or the ride.
Yeah.
And it's the animatronics.
Yeah.
Start moving.
Yeah.
That one's hilarious.
They've done that with Bruno Mars, too.
Yes. That one is one of my favorites, just to see them like acting like animatronics and like hitting on the girls or whatever.
Emily, what do you got coming up that people can check you out in?
I'm going to be in the ensemble of Seussical, the musical, at Blackburn Theater. The Blackburn Theater Summer Repertory Program
Okay,
is
cool.
going to be putting it on. Yeah. So you can check me out in that. It's in July.
All right. Well, Emily, thank you for coming on the
Thank
podcast.
you so much.
You're the first female
Oh,
on,
look at
on
me
the What's
rocking
That
it.
Like podcast. How
That's
about
so
that?
exciting.
There's probably an award.
There probably is.
I don't know what it would be.
That's okay. Just give me a signed picture of you. Just sign it really quick. Just find
There
something
you
around
go.
here. Yeah.
Actually, I need to sign one of you.
Oh,
so
yeah.
when you become famous,
Yeah.
then I'll say she was in my studio,
She was. Yeah.
which is in my garage.
She was in my garage.
Yes.
And
yes.
yeah, you could probably sell that on eBay for about $5 once I get the top.
How about that?
Yeah.
So with that, I want to thank you, Emily, for coming over tonight.
you.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Hey, wasn't Emily a lot of fun? She's such a sweetheart, such a sweet girl. I sit here and I'm talking to her, and I just can't help but root for her and her journey towards her goal of maybe someday making it on Saturday Night Live. I think she's got a real shot. She's got the passion. She's got the heart. And quite frankly, she's just an hilarious person to sit around and talk to. I hope you all picked up on that as much as I did during the conversation. Next up here on the What's That Like podcast is my friend Terry Rackley. Terry's been my neighbor for the better part of 20 years, and the one thing I would say about Terry is he's the nicest guy in the world. Anything that's his is yours. Anything that's mine, therefore, is his. We really do have a kind of a sharing relationship between the households here. He is a little bit different than me. I kind of like to go to the grocery store and buying things. I'm more of a man of convenience, but not Terry. I know a lot of you like to plant your own gardens, and because it's springtime and because maybe you need some gardening tips, I want to bring you this new segment here on the What's That Like podcast. We call it the Rack Almanac. Terry.
Yes, sir.
How you doing, buddy?
Oh, I'm doing good.
Yeah, so you're getting the garden in this year?
Well, I'm getting there. I'm building my greenhouse now.
You got a greenhouse? How big's that thing going to be?
Yeah, 6 foot by 8 foot.
6 foot by 8 foot. What's the first thing you're going to plant in there and hope to grow? Are you a little late, really, for a greenhouse? Or
Well,
should
you know what? I thought maybe I might be getting a little late on planting some of my seeds, but I talked to that Labella nursery out there, and she says, no, you'll be fine.
You'll be fine. So what are you gonna plant in there? You're almost done.
Well, yes, I know. I'm going to plant some tomatoes and peppers and beets and carrots and stuff like that.
Yeah. So when do you transfer the stuff from the greenhouse? When will you want it in your garden? When do you want it in the ground?
Mother's Day.
Mother's Day.
Mother's Day is the perfect day for planting a garden because the frost is pretty much done by then.
Yeah.
It's an old wives' tale. You never plant tomatoes until Mother's Day.
Good. That's good to know.
Yeah, that's right.
So, for a guy like me who goes and buys the cheater tomato plants, you don't want anything to do with that, do you?
No. I want to start them from seed myself.
Yeah. What else you a big gardener of?
Oh, I don't know. Onions, peppers, asparagus, garlic.
Garlic?
Yes, garlic.
Tell me about the garlic. I like garlic.
Well, I don't know if you know the Goodmans, which, of course, I know you do because that's your in-laws.
That's right.
The history behind this garlic is it's well over 100 years old.
Uh-huh.
It come from the old country. They brought a coffee can over to me it's probably been 4 or 5 years ago, and was telling me that their kids don't ever grow a garden, so we're going to give this to you.
Yeah.
So you can just keep it going.
Skipped right over me.
Yes.
And my family and gave it to my neighbor.
Yeah, well, they know that if you guys would be over there picking anytime you want anyhow, right?
That's right.
That's right. So I've passed it on to my kids and friends. And so the history of that strain of garlic, I would say, will be going on forever.
There you go. Well, there you go. That was it. This was this week's check-in with my neighbor Rack on the Rack Almanac. Well, there you have it. That was Rack. It's a long summer, so we're going to be coming back to Terry as the summer progresses. He's got more things going on in the yard. He's probably going to tell you about things that he builds, his hobbies, how he maintains some of the things he's got. He's got a chicken coop over there. We'll get some advice on that for some of you folks that would love some of your own farm fresh eggs. Lots of stuff to talk to my buddy Rackley about. So there's this episode. I want to thank you all for tuning in and listening. I want to let you know we're going to be taking about a week off, so we'll be back somewhere in the 10 to 14 day range with our next episode. Got some cool guests coming up. We've got some folks that are going to be promoting some really cool things going on here in the central Illinois area. And I really want to encourage you, if you've got ideas, get them to me. We've got some ideas now coming in. We want to get a ghost hunter, and a UFO hunter, and a storm chaser. And believe it or not, I'm actually working on a real-life NASA astronaut. Hopefully we can bring you her at some point in the near future. So looking forward to all those things here on the What's That Like podcast. Again, can't thank you all enough for tuning in. See ya. What's That Like is available in the iTunes and Google Play stores. Search for What's That Like. Subscribe today and never miss an episode. Streaming is available at SoundCloud.com and on the SoundCloud app. Follow What's That Like at Facebook.com/What's That Like Podcast and on Twitter at What's That Like Pod. All opinions of the guests of the What's That Like podcast are their own, not necessarily the views of the host or the podcast producers. We hope you enjoy this podcast serving Central Illinois and beyond. Peace out! You take a train up to Second City.
Yeah.
Anything happen on one of your journeys up there?
Well, before I get to my big one, I will say that there's a lot of crazy, like if you're crazy, you take the train.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's your mode of transportation. So we were about an hour out of Chicago, and I don't even know, it was a little town. And the train lurched, and everybody was kind of looking around, and like finally like the information like trickles back to you, and they're like, we just hit a semi. Like the semi is ripped in two. One part is on one side, one part's on the other.
And you're like, oh my God.
Yeah, I'm like, oh
Is
my
everybody
God.
okay?
Yeah, I'm kind of far back in the train. I don't know about the front of the train. I don't know about this truck driver. You know, we finally get off the train and we're like looking around, and they go, hey, so nobody's hurt, except for hundreds of pounds of bacon. There's just bacon everywhere on the other side of the train. It wasn't even the side of the train that we got evacuated on, so we couldn't even like have a little fire and like make bacon for our trouble. Like it was on the other side. They took us to a little school and they gave us like consolation pizza. Like the Red Cross came in and they're like, here's some pizza for your trouble.
But no bacon.
No bacon. It was just pepperoni, so